Dr. Sunny Fridge. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. Season 2 is dedicated to helping you unleash your inner speaking superpowers. Each week, you get tips, tools, and techniques to help you become a better communicator. On this edition of Rise and Shine, how to turn a setback into a comeback. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, share in the comments below where you're watching from. And if you're listening by podcast, please subscribe so you never miss a show. I believe we all have a purpose and the potential to live our best life. My guest is on a mission to inspire you to live better and achieve more. Dr. Willie Jolley has been called the most powerful speaker, singer, and author combination in the world today. He has authored several books, including It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback, An Attitude of Excellence, and Turn Setbacks into Greenbacks. Welcome, Dr. Willie Jolley.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunny, and thank you for all of your Toastmaster participants who are part of this evening's presentation and communication and party. We're having a party online.
You know, Toastmasters love to toast anyway, so this is a great way to do it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm honored to be a part of it and grateful, and I hope everybody's safe and secure and healthy and well. Now, I have no idea where you guys are. Where are you in the world?
Central Mississippi. That's where we are from. And I'm
somewhere near Jackson or somewhere like that?
Exactly. Less than 10 minutes from Jackson. My colleagues all live in Jackson. Quickly introduce yourself. I'll ask Mary McClendon.
Hello. I'm Toastmaster Mary McClendon, a member of Central Mississippi Advanced Toastmasters Club and Capital City Toastmasters Club in Jackson, Mississippi.
Leslie Hayes.
Hello, I'm Leslie Hayes. I'm in Terry, Mississippi, a member of CMAT, which is Central Mississippi Advanced Toastmasters, and also Public Policy Toastmasters.
Kim Mitchell, tell us where you're from and what club you're with.
Yes, I'm in Webb City, Missouri, and I'm with the Competitive Communicators Online Toastmasters Club.
Wonderful. Chris Mitchell.
I'm Chris Mitchell. I'm from Webb City, Missouri. The better half is Kim Mitchell. I'm in Greater Joplin Toastmasters and a member of Competitive Communicators.
Excellent.
And Evelyn Ball, last but not least.
I'm a member of Central Mississippi Advanced Toastmasters and Capital City. I'm here from Jackson, Mississippi.
Nice.
Thank you so much. And I have to mention, I'm also a member of Competitive Communicators Online Club. And so again, it is a pleasure to have you. And if I say, tell us about yourself, it would take all our time. But instead, I would love you to kick off this interview with the God's Minute signature opening you do with all your shows and talks, and then please share the inspiration behind it.
Well, thank you very much, and I will just go right into it. Every interview, every program I do, my XM show, everything I do, I start with, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. And that is a minute message that was created by Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor. And he became a mentor of mine when I started speaking about 30 years ago, even though I never personally met him. I met him through his audios and his videos and his books. And that message of 1 minute became something I became known for. I adapted it as part of my ongoing messaging with my daily 1 minute motivational messages. Many of you can hear that on Get Up Morning with Erica Campbell every morning at 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central. But it also spurred on a book that was called It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life. This was my first book, and it was built on that 1 minute message. And I started doing 1 minute messages on radio and television here in Washington that got syndicated and got expanded to national audiences. But it all started with a 1 minute message that we must make the most of each and every minute. And so when I started speaking, I started using that program and that poem. And then it became something that people knew me by and wanted to hear whenever I opened my mouth. that come out of me. So now it's part of my brand, or part of what people know me by. But I'm so grateful for being able to spend a few minutes with Toastmasters. Many people will ask me about, well, what are the keys if you want to become a speaker? And what are the keys if you want to learn about the speaking industry?
Mm-hmm.
The speaking industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry where people get paid amazing amounts of money to get up and give a speech, whether it's a 30-minute speech, a 1-hour speech, or a full-day program. People get paid very well to do that. I was amazed at the kind of revenues that could be generated. But when I tell people who ask me, what does it take? What must you do? I always start with the same thing. Take a Toastmasters course.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend you take a Toastmasters course, because that's where I started, at a Toastmasters course that was part of a job that I was working in. And it was out of that Toastmasters course that I got the confidence and the credibility to be able, within myself, to be able to go ahead and start giving speeches. And so from that little Toastmasters course, then I expanded. I tell them, take a Toastmasters course, and then I tell them to visit a local meeting of your National Speakers Association chapter. And those two things are a good starting point to get you started. Then there are a few other little tips that I give. I mean, I typically will get 20 calls a week or emails now from people saying, I want to be a speaker from all over the world. And so we've created a whole website to give them tips and processes and procedures to get started. So I say start with Toastmasters, because it's just a tremendous tool to get your comfort level and to give you some competency in getting up and going in your communications. You know that the number one fear in America is public speaking. And so if that is a fear that people have, then what we want to do is help them get past the fear. And the way to get past the fear is to take action. So I am a big fan of Toastmasters. Then on top of that, to be able in 2003 to get the call to be the keynote speaker, the opening keynote speaker for the Toastmasters World Conference Gala. It was held that year in San Antonio. And I gave a message that some people still purchase today called The Magic of How to Give a Great Presentation, and to be motivational and to be inspirational and being encouraging. And interesting enough, this was back when before there were CDs, that people were using cassette tapes. The speaker the year before me was Anthony Robbins.
Oh.
And I sold twice as many CDs as he did, or cassette tapes as he did. Not because my message was better. It was because I was a motivational speaker who came out of Toastmasters. So I really could relate to that struggle of, what do I do? How am I? Am I okay? Did I do okay? It's the whole process. And I could really relate to the Toastmasters, and they could relate to me. And I think that's what made people run to the table and say, I want his message, because he's me. He's me. That's me. I'm struggling here, or I have some confidence issues, or I'm starting in my job. I started in my job. As part of my job, we all had to take a Toastmasters course. And the Toastmaster professional, or the Toastmaster instructor, came to the class, and we all were in the same class together, taking what was our speaking topics, but it was called, what was the original class? I can't think of the name of it now, but anyway, it was wonderful, and that's where I got my start. So
awesome. A moment ago, you were talking about taking action, and one of your books, I told you I just got it, the Kindle version. A setback is a setup for a comeback. And in your foreword, you say the minute you make a decision and take action is the minute you change your life. What was that inspiration, however, for your book?
I was a nightclub singer. I didn't start as a speaker, okay? I didn't have any inclination, inspiration, or idea that I would ever be a speaker. I went to college. I got a degree in sociology and psychology. I went on to seminary because I had an interest in inspiring people, but I didn't know that interest in inspiring people could not be used in any other way than to be a preacher. I had no interest in being a preacher, and I did have an interest in inspiring people, and it was very weird. I go to seminary, everybody else is a preacher, and they say, well, are you going to preach? I said, no, why are you here? Because I'm kind of led here to develop my inspirational messaging, but I have no interest in being a preacher. Well, when I finished seminary, everybody else was going off to be in a church, and I didn't take that path because that was not where I was being led. I was a singer. I put myself through undergrad and graduate school by singing. I sang jingles primarily at that point. Pizza Hut making it great. We work well together. News 4 and you. BET, like entertainment TV. Oldsmobile, Cadillac, Washington Gas, Pepco, 7th Heaven, 7-Eleven. So I sang jingles, and that's how I made my living, and I put myself through school. Well, when I finished my education and got my master's, now what am I going to do? Well, I was a singer, so I started singing in jazz clubs as part of a jazz combo, and started winning awards, best jazz singer, best entertainer, best performer. Things were going great. I bought a house. I had a nice little sports car. I was riding around town enjoying life in Washington, D.C. I was a well-known entertainer and performer. I won all the awards. I mean, everything. I'd won the Washington Area Music Association, best entertainer, best performer. Things were going great. But one night, I went in a nightclub. The club owner said, I want to talk to you after the night show. I told the guys in the band they want to talk. We've been selling out for 6 months. We standing room only audiences. We're about to get our raise. I walked in his office that night. He said, you were great. The people loved you. I said, yes. He said, that's why it's hard for me to tell you. But I got to tell you. The owners of the club have decided they got to get a better return on investment. And only the way to do that with a full nightclub is to lower the cost. The band's the biggest cost. There's something else going around the country that's filling up nightclubs that's a lot cheaper than a band. We bought a karaoke machine. I said, but what about my bills? And I learned that night nobody cares about your bills but you and the people you owe. And I was devastated because I'd worked so hard to build his business. I'd worked to invest my time and my own resources into helping him build this clientele. But I got fired and replaced by a karaoke machine. I went home and told my wife, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had this setback, but it was really a setup for a comeback. So I didn't know it at that time, that I had learned that I had to make a decision about my future. And that decision was going to be something where I could either let somebody else make it for me or I could make it. Well, I took a job with the school system while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And that was when I got this job in the school system as a drug prevention coordinator. And part of my job was we had to give presentations to kids about staying away from drugs. And that's when the Toastmasters instructor came to all of the drug prevention coordinators, and we went through an 8-week speech crafters. That's what it's called,
Speechcraft.
And we went through the Speechcraft course. And at the end of the course, he said, you're very good at this. And probably that was because I was an entertainer. I was used to being in front of people. I had no fear of audiences or crowds. I just get up and do what I did. And he said, you're very good at connecting with audiences. You're very good. And so I just had to get something to say. So I started speaking to kids, and that was part of my job. I did that job for 1 year, literally 1 year. I joined the school system June the 1st, 1990. And on May the 31st, 1991, I quit and became a full-time speaker. And in 1999, I got a call from Toastmasters International saying, you just been named one of the top 5 speakers in the world.
Wow.
Former winners include Colin Powell, Norman Schwarzkopf, Nelson Mandela, Margaret Thatcher, Christopher Reeve. I said, what? They said, you've been named one of the top 5 in the world. I couldn't believe it. And that was 1999, 9 years after starting my speaking business. In 2005, I was inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame. In 2013, I was named a legend of the speaking industry. And all of that happened because I had a setback.
Wow.
A setback is a setup for a comeback. And so now I go all around the world speaking to companies. Most people know me for my work with Ford Motor Company. And when they called, one of their people had read my book. When they were on the brink of bankruptcy, they said, we need you to come help us. And I worked with Ford 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009. They were able to reject the government bailout and go from losing millions to making billions. And the Detroit Free Press wrote an article about this guy who helped Ford's comeback and said his name was Willie Jolley. And then Success Magazine wrote a piece called The Comeback King. And then Dr. Sunny has a book called An Attitude of Excellence that she showed just now that talks about that forward success. And all of that happened because I had a setback. And I worked on my communication skills. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and I told him that if you look at history, those who are able to communicate effectively are able to expand their options in their careers, in their income, and in their possibilities, as well as influencing people by being able to communicate effectively. Whether you want to do it as a living like I do it, or whether you want to do it as something just to increase and improve your possibilities for your job. Communication skills are critical, case in point. One more story, but this is important. Sugar Ray Leonard was well known as a boxer. And one of his major opponents was Tommy Hearns. Well, when they finished boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard had the capacity and ability to communicate. Unfortunately, Tommy Hearns didn't have that same ability. Years later, I'm on my way to South Africa to give a speech for Coca-Cola South Africa. And wow, there's Sugar Ray Leonard. He's on this same program because he's able to communicate. So I think I want to encourage everybody to grow your communication skills, work on your communication skills, and keep getting better in it, and get coaching. One of the things I did was get coaching. I got mentors in the speaking industry to help me, and I invested in my abilities that I get. Michael Jordan said, talent is God-given, but ability takes work. Get coaches and get mentors and work on what God has given you.
Fellow Toastmasters, if you want to just unmute yourselves and let's give him some applause. Woo, thank you so much. Thank you. Virtual high five. Reverend Willie Jolley with the Jolly Good News. You've got good news for us all. Thank you.
But look, your letter was so wonderful. In fact, my wife read it too. She said, you got to do her show. I'm going to do it. I've already reached out to her. We get so many letters from people, but I said, I promise you, I'm going to do it. So go to jollygoodnews.org, Jolley, goodnews.org, and be a part of that. There's lots of good stuff. Go to Win with Willie. Just go to winwithwillie.com. Everything's there.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I want to thank you for inviting me to be with you. And I want to thank you. And last but not least, I got to tell you this. My mama, God bless her soul, she's sitting with the angels in heaven, but she loved Jackson, Mississippi. That's why when I asked you where you were, and you said Jackson, I said, oh, I've spoken at the Pontywood School down there in Mississippi.
Yes.
I've spoken there. And when I spoke there, my mama loves Jackson so much. She said, I'm going with you. Because I love the peanuts from Jackson, Mississippi. And she went to this peanuts place. I don't remember where it was, but we got peanuts. And we had peanuts in Jackson and had the best food. And the people were just as nice as they could be. So when this is over, I got to come to Jackson and hang out with y'all.
You got a standing invitation, right, everyone? Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Woohoo!
Thank everybody. Please stay connected.
That was so fun. That's all the time we have on this edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. Again, thank you to my guest, the one and only Dr. Willie Jolley, for sharing his motivational nuggets of wisdom. I appreciate having a few of our Central Mississippi advancing Toastmasters and guests join in. But wait, there's more. There were so many tips from Dr. Jolley. I invite you to join us for part 2 on the next edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. If you enjoy our programs, if you haven't done so already, please consider making a donation of any amount at wytv7.org to help our CBN broadcasters continue the mission to bring you programming that educates, empowers, and encourages. If you're not on social media, you can find all my shows and podcasts online at wytv7.org/rise-shine. Please like my Facebook page at facebook.com/I Rise and Shine. You'll find tips there to help you unleash your inner speaking superpowers, some you may not even know you have. I look forward to helping you shine, rise above your speaking anxiety, rise above your fear, rise to the challenge and opportunity to shine as a better communicator. And as we continue to go through this unprecedented time of uncertainty and social distancing, take it from Dr. Jolley and me. Know that your setback can be a setup for a comeback. God bless you. I'm Dr. Sunny. Remember, it's your time to rise and shine.